Hi everyone, this is Akila here. Today we'll be discussing about the first chapter in your CA final syllabus, both for your old and new syllabus, IDT, especially the IDT paper. The first chapter is the introduction of GST in India. GST in India and introduction. We'll not be covering the entire syllabus in detail. This particular video is only for your last minute revision. So we'll go into the details. So firstly, we'll see what is GST. So before going into detail about the various provisions under the GST law, we'll understand what do you mean by GST. What is goods and service tax? You know the full form, right? It's goods and service tax. So it is basically a value added tax. So value added tax, it's nothing but, you just see here, you have a look here. Whenever a transaction takes place, it starts from the producer or the manufacturer. So he manufactures the good. The good is then transferred to the wholesaler. The wholesaler distributes it to the retailer and it finally reaches the consumer. So it is a huge process. It's a long chain. So value added tax is nothing but the tax is levied on the value which is added at each stage of the supply chain. This is called your supply chain. So at each stage, the tax will be levied only on the value added here. So here some value will be added, here some value will be added, here some value will be added. So this tax is levied only on the additional value which is added at each stage of the supply chain. And what is it levied on? It is levied on manufacture, sale and consumption. If you remember, in your previous syllabus, you have been studying about excise duty and your central sales tax, VAT. Now they are all abolished and it is subsumed into GST. So central sales tax, CST, it was dealing with sale. Excise law, it was dealing with manufacture. VAT, it was dealing with consumption. So now there is only one tax, that is GST, which is levied on the manufacture, sale and consumption of both goods and services. So it's not only on goods. So earlier the excise duty was only on goods, VAT was only on goods, service tax was only on services. So now this GST is levied on both goods and your services. So what do you call this? Instead of using various different terms like manufacture, sale, consumption, these three terms have been replaced by a single word, that is supply. So this is very important. GST is levied on supply of goods and services. So this is your GST. The definition or the description of GST is this. It is a value added tax which is levied on the supply of goods and services. Another important feature of GST is that under GST, there is a continuous chain of credit. That is, whatever the tax the manufacturer pays, or whatever the tax the wholesaler pays, or whatever the tax the retailer pays, at each stage, they can avail the credit of the tax paid by them. So there is a continuous chain of credit. It's not just restricted to the manufacturer, or it is not just restricted to the retailer or the consumer. At each stage, each person will be given a chance to take a credit of the tax paid by them. So there is a continuous chain of credit. Next is availing of credit at each stage. As I told you here, there is a continuous chain. There is no stoppage. At each stage, continuously, there will be a chain of credit. The manufacturer or the wholesaler will be given an opportunity to set off the tax paid by them against the tax paid by the next person. To the final consumer, so ultimately what happens? He will be paying the tax only on the value added by him. So he will be paying the tax only on the value added by him. Ultimately, the entire GST, the burden of the GST will be on the consumer. So the final consumer bears the tax burden. Another important aspect of GST is that there is no cascading effect. That is, there is no tax on tax. Absolutely, there is no taxing of tax. Like for example, if you take your customs duty or any other types of tax, you'll be paying a tax. The tax will be added to the value. On the final value, again a tax will be levied. So this is avoided in GST. It's not that a tax will be levied on the tax. Only at the final stage, the consumer will be paying. So now we'll discuss about the need for GST in India. Why do we need something called GST in India? So basically it's because of the deficiencies in the existing value added taxation. Your VAT, SENVAT, your excise duty. So all those things which were included in the value added taxation, there were so many deficiencies in that existing system. So because of the deficiencies, we needed a new system that would curb or that would avoid the existing deficiencies, and that is nothing but your GST. So reasons for why do you need a GST? So why particularly why GST? Why not any other taxation system? Why particularly GST? So these are the points covered under that. So first is, whenever you are paying state VAT is restricted to a particular state. If it is from Delhi, then you will be paying VAT only in that particular state. So it varies from state to state. So whenever you are paying state VAT, many local taxes are not included under the VAT. Like for example, entertainment tax. So this is levied on your cinema ticket or any amusement park ticket. So whatever entertainment tax you are paying to the local bodies, they are not included in the state VAT system. So this is one major thing. Now after the introduction of GST, this entertainment tax has been merged with the GST. There is only one tax. It's not like you have to pay both state VAT and entertainment tax. There is only GST. As we discussed earlier, there will not be any cascading of taxes because of the introduction of GST. So earlier, if you see, when you are paying central sales tax, you cannot impose VAT on that. There will not be any connection between VAT and the sales tax. Sales tax will be at the central level, VAT will be at your state level. And one more important point is, whenever you are calculating the value of goods for calculating VAT, SENVAT will be included in that. So SENVAT will be at your central level, whereas VAT will be at the state level. So from this, you can see this can be connected to this point. So this is at central level and this is at state level. So there will not be any integration of the VAT and the service tax. One will be on the state level and one will be on the central level. And no SENVAT after manufacturing stage. So SENVAT is calculated under your excise duty. So excise duty is levied only on goods, that is only till your manufacturing stage. Obviously, we saw that chain, where it starts from the producer and where it ends with the consumer. So it's not just with the producer, it's not just with the manufacturer. The supply chain continues till it reaches the consumer. So this is one major drawback of the earlier system. Finally, double taxation as goods and services. For example, take software. Whenever you are going to a company and purchasing a software is an intangible asset. It will not be given to you in the hand. It will be recorded in a CD and CD will be given to you. So what will you classify this as? Will it be classified as a service because it is intangible, or will it be classified as a good because it is recorded in a CD? Because of that confusion, there is always a double taxation on software. It will be taxed as a good as well as a service. So two types of taxes will be paid on the same product. Finally, there is no set off. Since the chain does not continue till the consumer, at each stage, the person will not be given an opportunity to set off his tax paid. So this is the need for GST in India. Because of all these drawbacks, GST has been introduced in India. We finished with the need for GST. Now we'll discuss about the benefits of GST. So who are all the people who will be getting the benefits from the introduction of GST? Firstly, we'll see the economy as a whole. How does the introduction of GST benefit the economy? Firstly, unified national market. So there is no more VAT, there is no more central sales tax, which means that the tax is not levied on state basis. It's a unified national market. There is only one country and there is only one tax system. So there is a unified national market. Secondly, Make in India. You would have heard this term. It's like, whatever you are manufacturing, that should be manufactured in India. If there is any surplus, then you can export it outside the country. So this concept can be boosted after the introduction of the GST. Ultimately, eventually, that will result in the boost in the exports. Just because your not spending so much money on the payment of your tax, you will be left with lot of money to do your investments. So ultimately, there will be an increase in the investments. Because of investments, the number of companies will be increasing. Because of the increase in the number of companies, more people will get more employment, and eventually that will result in the increase in GDP. This is nothing new. We've already studied in economics when we are doing our CPT. Next, we'll see what are the benefits of GST to the business people. That is, whoever is involved in doing the business, your manufacturer or your producer, retailer, manufacturer. So all those people will be covered under this head. So first benefit is simpler tax regime. No more complications. You have to follow only the GST law. Because of this, there will be uniform procedure. Because of simpler tax regime, there will be uniform procedure, because there is a law now. So everything is given clearly under GST law, and the tax rates are uniform again. So earlier, you had different rates of tax for service tax, for VAT, for excise duty, customs duty. Now it's only one rate of tax for GST. Another important benefit is fewer exemptions. If you remember, under service tax, we used to study pages of exemptions. I think an entire chapter was covering the exemptions alone. So now there are only fewer exemptions. No multiple taxes. There is only one GST. No entertainment tax. No other taxes will be paid under GST. Because of all these reasons, now administration of taxes also become easier. Next, we'll see the benefits of GST to the taxpayers. So firstly, automated procedures. Nobody goes to the department, nobody goes to the indirect tax department and pays the tax directly to the people who are administering the tax. It's all automated now. Because of the introduction of IT, directly you go and enroll yourself in GSTN portal, pay your tax. The job is done there. Less public interface between the taxpayer and the administration. As I told here, everything is automated. So it's not necessary for you to go to the administrative department and pay your tax. The interface is reduced now. There is a reduction in the compliance cost. Here, what do you mean by compliance cost? Earlier, under the earlier system, there was not any portal. So you have to maintain books of accounts, records, and because of maintenance of the records and other books and accounts, you have to employ more people. As a result, your compliance costs have been increasing. So now because of the introduction of GST, there is a reduction in the compliance cost. As a result, less investment in manpower. Everything is automated, so you don't need any more employees now with respect to this particular procedure. Less resources. So obviously your cost is cut down, your manpower is reduced, so your money also will be saved. So these are the benefits to the taxpayers. What are the benefits to the industry? Now there is more relief. Because of the set of provision, you will be taking more relief. Your cost will be cut down. There will be no cascading. This we have already discussed. Since you have so much money to invest and you don't need to spend so much time on the tax payment. So you can concentrate fully on improving your quality. Because of that, your competitiveness also will be increased in the market. Increased liquidity. You're paying lesser tax, which means you will be left with more money. So as a result, there will be more liquidity. And for registration, if you want to register yourself as a GST person or a GST payer, there is a threshold limit. So up to a certain limit, you are not required to register yourself. That threshold limit has been increased under the GST. And additional benefit is the introduction of the composition scheme. So what is composition scheme and what is the threshold limit for registration? These two things will be discussed in the upcoming videos. So that's all about today's discussion on GST. We'll continue with the second part of the chapter in our next video. Thank you.